Step into the Incense and Whiskey sanctuary with mindfulness enthusiasts and verified whiskey lovers, Mecca and Ashley, as they discuss all the random topics they love, from mindfulness to memes. This is Ashley.
And this is Mecca.
Welcome to the Incense and Whiskey sanctuary. 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 Sanctuary.
Hey, Mecca. Oh, same time. Is that like good luck or something? What do we get for that?
I think we're just in sync.
Okay, I like that. I like that.
We always have good luck. So,
how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
I am doing.
When people say, "How are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm doing okay," or "Yeah, everything's great," or "It's how's it going?" It's going.
It's going. It's happening.
It's happening. Yeah, no, today's good. I'm thankful every time I'm here, and I want to be here. So
I appreciate that. I'm gonna be. Yeah. How am I? I'm gonna be honest. My energy's a little low.
Okay.
And so that leads me to want to take an opportunity to talk about time management versus energy management as a concept.
Okay.
I'm sure you're familiar with the concept of time management, right? Like you've heard people talk about time is money, you're running out of time, you can't get your time back.
Yes.
That kind of thing, right? I don't know if people think about energy in the same way, but I do recognize that energy is different, right? So I wanted to talk to you about the definition of energy in physics.
Okay.
So according to Harvard Business Review, there's an article called Manage Your Energy, Not Your Time by Tony Schwartz and Catherine McCarthy. They define energy in physics as the capacity to work. Energy comes from four main well springs in human beings, right? You have the body, emotions, mind, and spirit. So in each of those realms, energy can be systematically expanded and regularly renewed by establishing specific rituals or behaviors. And those are intentionally practiced and scheduled with the goal to get in such a habit that it's unconscious, it becomes unconscious and automatic to you. So it's like a reflex for you to manage your energy in each of those realms. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So I think that it's important to think about like the fact that in order to recharge yourself, we as people need to recognize the cost of energy depleting behaviors and then try to take control of changing them regardless of our circumstances.
Right.
And so I want to ask you, like, when you're feeling your energy is low, what are first of all, how do you recognize it? And then what are some of the things that you do to recharge yourself?
Okay, so the first part of that question, how do I recognize it? I recognize it because I mentally feel exhausted. I also feel like I've become very like short in my answers, and I may feel bothered, and that bothered may not be stemmed from a person or a thing that's happened. It's just the energy is low.
Huh.
And those are things that I notice that if my energy is low, right? And to come to the first way of combating it is take a nap. As simple as that sounds, like taking a nap, definitely for me going outside. So, I've always worked from home. So, but it's one of those things that going outside and feeling that like air on my skin makes a huge difference. Quieting my mind is huge with meditation. And that meditation could be quieting of the mind and just sitting for quiet time. It could be going to cook because my mind is still quiet, but I'm doing something repetitive a little bit. And also, it could just be like having consuming something that makes me feel good, and that's not always the best way, but that's real. And
when
that
you're wait, what do you mean?
Glass of wine.
Okay.
That could be like, oh, I really love my own macaroni and cheese, and I've learned how to master one serving. So maybe it's that, or maybe
Okay.
it's, a Moscow Mule or whiskey sour. Just keep
Have you really mastered a single serving of macaroni and cheese?
absolutely.
Yo, that's where it's at. I'm
Absolutely.
taking some notes on that.
Absolutely. And you got to look at energy like I always say time and money are like my currency. Everyone's currency, right?
Mhm.
And with time, it's it's considered lost and you can't get that back, right? So that's like that sunken cost, right? I think if
Right.
it's something that you spend and you can't get back.
Right.
Money, there's a way to kind of make up for money, right? Energy,
Mhm.
absolutely you can't get that back. So energy, time, and money are like these currencies. And no matter how much this exchange happens, either with time and money or energy and time, whatever you're giving to that person as a exchange, a currency,
Mhm.
it's a piece of you that's gone, right? Money
Yeah.
is energy, time, and some people believe there is no such thing as time. So if you are one of those people that believe that there's no such thing as time, then maybe you feel like you have more of it, or you manage it a little bit different. You look at it in a different view from time and energy.
Yeah. I think that that's all really helpful framing. And what I want to add to that is that I like your idea of energy as currency. I think what's really good about energy versus time is that energy is something we can identify ways to restore, right? So we
Yep,
can't
that's a good idea.
can't
That's good.
find ways to restore our
Right.
time. You can't get that hour back, but you can through self-awareness, right? Identify when your energy is depleted in a specific area and restore that energy, and achieve some kind of rejuvenation. And so that makes me think about like the body and physical energy, things that we do to restore our physical energy. Like you said, napping. For me, it may be like a quick workout to like jumpstart things, going out into nature. But then it also, I wanted to talk with you about like the emotions and quality of energy. And so when I think about that, I think about something that I've been trying to practice more often is recognizing when I don't have, like, I have the energy to complete something that may be more of a mindless task, uh, versus something that requires a little bit more just emotional effort, right?
Yeah.
Like, for
Yeah.
example, someone sends me something at work and they're like, can you review this and give me feedback? Like, I need to check myself and be able to say, like, I'm not in a great place to give this person constructive feedback that's not going to be, like, that's going to be actually constructive and helpful for them to absorb
Mm.
versus being like negative, for example. So something that I've been trying to do is recognize, okay, I got your email and I recognize you need me to review this document. I'm going to get back to this in the next get back to you on this in the next 2 hours. So that's something I'm trying to be more responsible about, is thinking about the quality of my energy and do I have the time to complete, or do I have the energy to complete this task and complete it well, versus completing something else. And then it also makes me think of the mind, right? And so that's when you think about the mind in that realm, what comes up is the focus of your energy and multitasking. And I know there's some people in the camp of how can you not live life without multitasking? And there's other people in the camp of multitasking is not real, it's not possible. What are your thoughts on multitasking, Mecca?
I mean, I think it depends on what we're talking about, right? I mean, you kind of said it. If it's something that needs that needs to be thoughtful, meaning that you've thought about it and you've given it your reaction to it, or it's something that's very automatic and you kind of are robotic at it. Two thoughtful things cannot be multitask at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Things that require thought and process and thinking may be a little bit harder to multitask, or if it is, it's not going to be effective, right? It's almost like, if I use the analogy of, when you're at the computer and you've opened up a website, and then throughout the day you've gone from 2 to almost 35 tabs open on your website or on your browser, because you've started an email, then you went to go research something, then you went to go check in for X, Y, and Z, and then you went to go sign up for a class at your gym. Like, all these things happened, and you just have all these tabs open, but there's nothing finished. That's kind of like how multitasking works. You've started it, you've turned on the light, you've started the process, but it's still incomplete, and it doesn't become complete until that tab is X'd out. So then you see the buttons decrease. But if they're all still open, that means they're all still pending. And I've been working all day, but really you've been just shuffling papers all day.
Back and forth, right?
Exactly, back and forth. So I don't know. I feel like multitasking only kind of, in my opinion, and this is coming from someone that's used to be like, yes, I'm multitasking, and yes, I can multitask. One of the first things on your resume, detail oriented.
That's true.
Multitasking.
Yeah. No, that's true. That was like definitely
detail oriented and multitasking. Okay.
You can't be both.
Lies. Hashtag lies. So
don't send Mecca a resume that says both.
I could have got some of my old resumes from like college years saying the same thing. Yeah, I'm detail
oriented. That's a really fair point.
I can multitask. And not to say that you cannot. That's not what I'm saying. But effectively, we know that one task is completed and then another one is also completed. If you've used the example of, I can grocery shop and talk on the phone at the same time. Well, two things. If you've created your grocery list and you already know what you're going to get, having a conversation seems super simple. I don't see anything wrong with that. If you have not created that grocery list and you decide to talk to your homegirl or your homeboy that you haven't caught up with in a minute, you are not going to remember everything that you would plan on going in there for.
All right, now it's like confession time. I don't regularly use a grocery list. Like, I will be at the store just talking to you and go down the aisles and be like, oh yeah.
I didn't get all the stuff to make the dinner that I was planning on making.
Yo, that's me every time. I mean, unless I'm going to make a specific dish and there's like some things that I don't normally have at home on the regular, then I have a list. Like, I'm specifically looking for oyster sauce or like whatever.
Right.
What I mean, because I mean, sometimes we have it in the pantry, sometimes we don't, but you know what I mean. Can I give you a funny example of multitasking that I cannot do? This is going to be so embarrassing. Maybe other people do this. When I need to get into a difficult parking space, I will turn down the music.
The radio. Wait, I'm sorry.
You felt that. You know what I'm talking about. I can't listen to nothing. Double negative. Cannot listen to nothing while I'm trying to park.
You're like, I gotta concentrate.
I gotta focus. I need all the senses. Especially if I'm trying to like parallel park on the left side of the street. I don't know why on my left side is a little bit more of a struggle. Yeah. Actually, I actively avoid parallel parking on the left side. But that's the multitasking I will never do. I'll tell you that right now.
I get it. I mean, you just nailed it. When it's almost like you turn on the radio so you can park the car in parallel wise. You put your glasses on. If you say, I can't hear you, hold on, let me put my glasses back on.
Like, that's gonna help you.
Right, like that's gonna help you. Say you took your glasses off and you don't have no contacts on. You're like, hold on, let me put my glasses on because now I can hear you. So it is one of those, it's like these little reactionary things. That's funny.
Sure.
But that's real. That's real.
That's the truth right there.
Yeah.
Okay. So the other realm of like our energy management, right, is the human spirit. And when I'm talking about that, I'm thinking about the energy of meaning and purpose. And so people tend to tap into, I know this is true for me. People tend to tap into the energy of their human spirit when their everyday work or activities are consistent with their values and what gives them a sense of meaning and purpose. I feel like that's something you can relate to. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, as long as we're doing anything in life that we are aligned with and then we're happy with, we're always like tapping into like our higher selves, or that's us, you know, just kind of like elevating even in our own mind. We're so in tune with what our joy is and what brings us passion. That always is the tapping into of yourself and of your higher self, no matter what that is.
Yeah. Something that I'm working toward getting to is being in a place where I'm consistently doing things that are aligned with my values and things that what I'm passionate about. I'm not someone that believes that I have a singular passion and I need to be doing my 9 to 5 in that space. So when I'm talking about my day-to-day, my 9 to 5, I'm thinking about work that's gratifying, right? It's gratifying to me to help people solve problems, find solutions to issues that they're facing, and helping them to execute on the mission of their organization. That's like my day-to-day.
Okay.
But there are times where that can be, my energy is not, my focus is not always there on that. And sometimes like I want to put my energy and my focus into my passion about discovering new wellness topics and activities with you on the podcast, Mecca. So I think it's important to find different things that feed you and align with your interests, because I think we've all as a society gotten really focused on quote unquote working in your passion, you know.
We have at the society have gotten into that more. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I mean, I remember growing up in high school and people being like, "What's your passion?" And like your college major should be, your passion should be connected to your major, and then your major will get you to the work you do. And we have come to find out as working adults that's not always the case. Right. You know, sometimes you just got to put food on the table.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I definitely agree with you in regards to like, I know we kind of moving into a different subject, but you know, just always agreeing to being aligned and being happy with what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
And not just work, but like the invitation to go do X, Y, and Z from a friend, or I want to go to, it's so sunny outside and I feel like I want to go outside because it's so sunny, but my heart would be just fine if I just sat here and watched different world reruns. So like, I'm talking about everything.
Yes, everything.
Bring me joy and happiness, and I'm just keeping it really, really real because when you start setting yourself out in that tone, it literally resonates and falls into every piece of your life. Relationships, the little bitty things. How do I want to feel when I brush my teeth? Do I like the way this feels after I brush my teeth? What makes me feel really good? I'm
like, so what are you gonna do? Like, she really is using everything else. So I'm like, what you gonna do? Change your toothpaste?
Yeah, I change my toothpaste. I don't have that minty taste afterwards. Charcoal.
So you gonna get this orange charcoal flavor or something?
I just got regular black charcoal, and I don't have to have that minty taste afterwards. I can have a glass of wine after I brush my teeth if I want to. I'm not, but I'm just saying.
I mean, that's okay. We're not judging. If you're brushing your teeth at the end of after a meal and you want to go back and drink some wine, that's fine.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, just everything.
Everything. I love that.
So are you going to start practicing more energy saving activities?
I don't know if it's necessarily energy saving as much as I definitely want to be more mindful of my energy and not just thinking about time, right? Like, how much can I accomplish in this 2-hour window versus like, what do I have the true energy to accomplish and do well in the 2-hour window that I have?
I like that. I mean, I could even recall, say I get a long email about something that someone can easily just Google. Sometimes I say, hey, email received, kind of busy. I'll respond at the most appropriate time soon. Thank you. Like,
that's so nice.
I got your message, but I'm not about to answer this right now. Because you can Google this answer. No,
we all need to follow Mecca's
I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think that it's one of those things, you acknowledge it and then you know your energy. Like, you know, your mom wants to call and tell you about what happened, you know, at the swimming pool at the workout center, and you like trying to have your meal. You may not have the energy for it right then.
That's true.
I'm gonna call you back. It's okay not to answer your phone, not to text immediately. unless it's an emergency and you
That's true.
can do something about it. If you
Yeah.
can't do anything about it, then
Yeah. We all need to be practicing that. Like, it's definitely good to be mindful of that. So thanks for that perspective, Mecca.
thanks for the topic, Ashley.
So Mecca, I have a question for you. I wanted to know what your thoughts are on embracing your creativity, your interests, and then using that or leveraging that creativity into um, like your lifestyle, your work, your source of income.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm all for it. I've always been a person that, I may have always had like this 9 to 5 job that didn't really light my fire, but it did exactly what it needed to do financially, and have my own like creative outlets on the side that I would, just really nurture so it can grow into something that's actually supporting me financially. So I'm 100% for it. And I think that um, it's one of those things that it's this fine line of going into your passion and then like moving into it in a way that it becomes like you said, your lifestyle, it becomes your way of life and the means of how you earn your income. So that kind of feeds you into like entrepreneurship. Right?
Yeah. I want to say, I think that I'll use the phrase side hustle, right? I think a lot of people talk about side hustles and having multiple revenue streams. And I think it's a really popular topic now. But what you're describing to me rings a little bit different. And I also believe this is something you've been doing for some time, right? Like these are the various areas and spaces that you work in and generate income from. Like these are things you've been doing for years, right? It's not like,
Absolutely. It's not a new thing.
yeah. So at what point in your life did you, or yeah, like in your life, in your professional career or whatever, did you decide that you were going to make this kind of move? Because I get the sense that it was something that, and tell me if I'm wrong, but like gradually over time, you just added different types of things to, I'll call it your portfolio of life work, right?
Yeah. I think it's one of those things that Ashley, I I'm not I'm the kind of person that I may have a variety of interests, and I usually like to move in the direction of those interests. I never want to say I wish I could have done X, Y, and Z.
Okay.
Or I really have this on my mind, I haven't done it yet. So, I started out like in PR and media, and I loved it. And I also wanted to add events to it. So I wanted to learn about events. And I was also, kind of working in, I love culinary. So I made that become a profession. So I've had all these different titles over time because I'm the type of person that, I like to go after the things that make me happy. Even if that means having another job. And, we use the word like side hustle. And I mean, typically, yes, side hustle is, you're doing some type of informal job or side gig, a different job that person takes to make, to supplement their primary job. So I don't know. So sometimes using that word doesn't always, I know that's probably what people use because it's popular, but it doesn't always match, right? Like,
right. Yeah.
Because sometimes when someone opens up an online store or their jewelry company, it may not be a side hustle. It's like,
right.
maybe we call it a passion project, or your portfolio. I like that word because it's not something that if I never did X, Y, and Z, then sometimes it's not something that is going to make or break what's bringing in primarily. It's something that I love to do, and I want to be able to grow into that.
Okay.
It's really just embracing and leaning into your creativity. We all have a creative mind, and it's just tapping into it and actually taking action in it.
Okay, I have another question for you.
Yeah.
So the way that I think about things is a little bit more analytical. And so this question may come across that way. But is there a criteria or like a set of questions that you ask yourself to say like, yes or no, this is where I'm going to put my time, or, like this is worth it to me to do? Or is that not the case for you?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, there used to be like this criteria, like, if it's something I really want to do, and it's like the first thing I know is that I get this immediate feeling of a burst of a rush that goes through my stomach. That
Okay.
lets me know I'm excited about it. That's like my signal to let me know I'm excited. And that excitement is like, ooh, could you see yourself doing this repetitively? Can you see yourself doing this, in 5 years? Is this a long-term thing or a short-term thing? Is it a means to another vehicle? So usually as soon as those are some of the questions. So now when I get that feeling, I just say, what's the worst thing that can happen? And
Yeah.
the worst thing that can happen is you lose the business or you lose the creativity. You might lose some time and energy and some finances, but do you pass away? Do you die from it? Will you go to prison? And if those big questions are answered no, then I'm all in. It's
Okay.
yeah, it's kind of like, what's the worst that could happen after you kind of know this is something you want to do. I'm probably the kind of person that throws the paint on the wall and then clean it up as I go.
Okay. That makes sense to me. Do you ever think about, like, when you first get that gut feeling, I understand in here, like, the process that you go through thinking about, is this going to be something short term, long term? Is it going to lead to something else? Do you ever think about the monetary aspect of it? Because for me, for example, my goal for 2022 is whatever I'm interested in that I can make money off of, that's the goal for 2022. Like, can I monetize this? Does that come up for you earlier, later, or never? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it definitely does. And sometimes it does come up immediately. And it is one of those things that if it's not a currency of money, what else could be received from it? Right. So,
Yeah.
Maybe you decided to do this podcast, and that podcast or articles that you're submitting to a media outlet are all just vehicles to get you to the next place, or maybe that's used for marketing. So there needs to be
Yeah.
some type of exchange. Again, like I say, yes, you want monetary, but if not monetary, then the next best thing is ensuring that gets you to a space of being recognized.
Okay, that makes sense. Um, so can you give us some examples of things that you like do?
Examples of things that I do.
That you do, like, or that you're interested in right now, that go with that, like, sense of flow, or what was an
Yeah.
example of something you were excited about?
I guess the question is, what kind of ventures have I led myself into?
Yeah. Or what do you feel comfortable sharing with us? Is there, like, some top secrets? You don't have to tell us anything top secret that you're
No, there's nothing top secret going on.
working on.
I would say, let's see, for an example, I can kind of go back. At one point I really wanted to, work in culinary and just, go from kitchen to like consulting, textbook cooking, and writing recipes. And so
Oh,
those are all aspects of a career that I've had a chance to go through, right? So I started out, I didn't really want to go to culinary school, but I wanted to learn the basics of the kitchen. So I went through a program that just gave you, easy kitchen math and the basics of the kitchen, and then everything else is going to be your experience on how you create the skill base that you want. So
okay.
from there, I knew that after I was in a kitchen for a while, I absolutely didn't want to do that. I wanted to do private chefing. So I did that. I actually traveled to the Hamptons and got a chance to like go to Antigua for some trips just to cook. And then from there, I had a chance to work in like culinary textbooks, right? Maybe it's creating food styling for the images that are being photographed, or going off working from a recipe and like a recipe tester. So until now, like I get to work in culinary, but like maybe in meal prepping. So now I get to do meal prepping with culinary based off of a special menu, right? I also get to, I've always wanted to work with design. So I started an apron company. I have Thimble and Bodkin. Thimble and Bodkin started because I had a food product, but I realized that, keeping up with a food product and me producing it was a lot of time that I didn't want to expel anymore. So creating a product that still was food related that had no shelf life was the goal. I
Oh,
had aprons, so I love kind of making aprons out of my sundresses. So that's how Thimble and Bakken came about, and that's been around since 2011 now, or 20.
wow.
And so, well, not that long, but yeah. So yeah, well, actually, whatever. So, yeah. So you have Thimble and Bakken. You have I've cooked. I've also, as things have progressed, I wanted to open up, or plan to open up, like a bed and breakfast / kind of fitness wellness center. So, just recently, as I've been learning more and more about sound healing and sound instruments and sound vibrational meditation, I've been working with certain clients to do that. Like, I've literally have gone the gamut of, oh, I want to do that. Is there an easy way to get into that field? Can I make money from it?
Yeah.
To now, I'm, soon coming late summer, I'll be opening up a meditation studio.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah, there's like all these all these pieces that kind of come together that I work on, and I love it. I do. I mean, I know it sounds like a lot. It doesn't feel like a lot to me. But yeah.
Would you call those pieces coming together working in flow? Is that the way you think about it? Okay.
Definitely working in flow. If something doesn't feel right, then actually, I think we had this conversation before, but like now even when I get projects that have nothing to do with my own personal passions, and maybe it's like something in events for a corporation or a nonprofit, I have never actually had to look for it. It found me. So, and that kind of goes with going into flow. I think we've talked about this sometimes. Sometimes we are the type of people that don't necessarily apply for a ton of jobs and go through that process. It's always like, oh, I heard about you, or I saw this and I wanted to reach out. So it just kind of magnetized to me as it does to you. And so when those things happen, I know that that's alignment.
Yeah.
Make it all easy or make it all hard.
Yeah. Make it all easy, make it all hard. Do you have any words of advice for anyone out there who may be interested in finding that sense of flow or discovering that for themselves? Or just in general, any words of advice in tapping into your creativity?
I think just kind of like lean into it and let it flow, and don't try to create like a strict regimen around it and what that regimen looks like. You say you started printing t-shirts because you stopped wanting to buy a bunch of t-shirts offline, and you're like, hey, I can do that. I can design my own t-shirt and get it printed. And then from there, you're like, people are asking you about it, right?
Yeah.
Then you are like, wait, I can start a t-shirt business. And then we have a lot of people that, yes, there's this funness that you want to start a t-shirt business, but then you feel like you need to quit your 9 to 5 job or whatever. And it may not be 9 to 5, but your, more structured job because you think you need to pursue the t-shirts. Well, why not try both of them at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I say, and that's a sense of multitasking, but actually one does end. So when you're working a job where once you leave work, it's ended, then yeah, look at what it takes to open up your t-shirt business or start small. I'm always the kind of person that says, just start it. You got to see if it's something you want to do, because you may have that idea that you like to do that. You get a couple of months in and realize, hey, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
I like the idea of it. So I always say lean into it, find out as much information as you can, because 9 times out of 10, someone else has done it and they've captured their journey, and look at that, review it. But I always say, go for it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? That time is going to go by, regardless if you are wishing and hoping, than doing. Right.
Right. I think that's wonderful advice. And I think there's something that you tapped into that I want to make sure I heard correctly and that we're reiterating it. So I heard you say, just try doing it, right? And you'll be able to discern once you've started that process, whether it be a couple of weeks or a couple of months, what have you, whether or not it's something you can continue.
Yeah.
And that, to me, I heard that also when you were describing you had this food product and then you decided to switch gears and really focus on something that didn't necessarily have a shelf life to it, in the aprons.
Right.
And so what I'm hearing from that is don't be afraid to course correct, and still stay in that sense of flow, but readjust according to like what you need or what you're finding to be helpful or true or necessary during that time. Is that a fair
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Perfect. Yeah, I'm definitely accustomed to course correcting and pivoting when it's not going to benefit the overall goal. And I feel like, one thing that they use that word a lot during COVID, like, oh, I had to pivot, I had to do this. And these were, coming from individuals that, when you've been doing the same thing for 10 years or more, and that could just mean going to the same job, or I drop the kids off, I go to work, blah, blah, blah. Like, you had this huge shift that caused you to look at things differently or do a different thing. And some people embraced it and loved it. It was like, yo, look what else I can do. So just not being afraid of that pivot, it's one of those things that if it doesn't work out, I try not to look at it like, oh my God, that's the end of the world. It's like, well, what else is this opening up to, right?
I think that's really helpful.
Opening up for. So it helps to not stay closed-minded and, creating a constraint on your goals.
Pearls of wisdom right there.
Catch us next time on Incense and Whiskey.
In the meantime, take a breath, have a sip.